We'll call a meeting to order. Everybody's very social this morning, which is good. First order of business, I believe, is the roll call.
Vasconcelos,
Here.
Cunningham,
Here.
Westergaard, here, Loesiger, here, Donaldin,
Here.
Carlson, absent, Nancolis, I believe is.
I am online.
And Willis. We have a quorum.
Thank you very much.
Excited to start with a recognition of one of our own, the Airport Council, ACINA, the Airport Council International of North America, voted on a concession person of the year, and that is our very own Amy Snyder. Awarded that at the end of June.
Okay, we have approval of the minutes next. I had a couple of minor things. I'm wondering, I believe General Donaldin appeared via Zoom, and I wondered if he should be present up in the roll call section of the minutes.
Yeah, he was up on Zoom and yes.
Yeah, zoom in. Yeah, so we need to correct that because he's down there under comments, but he's not giving credit for.
I'm still talking even when I'm not here.
Zoom is a problem. And then this is probably because of my ex-legal background, but a small thing, in B1, wondering if that appendix B should be a capital B. Okay. And with that, any other changes to the minutes? Do I have a motion to approve?
I motion to approve the minutes.
Second, moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, minutes are approved. And the next item of business is the director's report. And I noticed that our director's not here.
Yes, Rebecca was sorry that she couldn't make it, but I'm going to give the report today. I'm Kathleen Watkins. I'm the Deputy Director of Finance and Business. So we'll start with an overview of our construction projects, the larger ones. So our public parking garage, long been waiting for this. The East Public Garage, they're installing the elevator. There's some signage that's being installed. They've put concrete in place on levels 4 and 5. The entry and exit road has been paved, and they are in process of finishing up the landscaping on that project. Very exciting. We're going to have a ribbon cutting of our garage. It's going to open on Tuesday, August 22nd. There'll be a ribbon cutting ceremony at 4 o'clock, and the garage will be immediately available for public parking following the ceremony. And that should add 1,100 spaces with an easy walking distance to the terminal. So we're very excited about that milestone. The employee parking garage is also coming along. They placed concrete on level 4, formwork for level 5, and the mechanical room is being framed. They continue to install the veneer on that. And right now we're estimating probably spring of 2024, we'll have that available for employees to park, and we are anticipating capacity enough for all of our based employees. Taxiway Whiskey Phase 1. Construction on Taxiway Whiskey Phase 1 started on June 12th and is expected to take 70 calendar days. Our runway 10L is closed due to construction. FAA fiber optic line has been relocated and is operational now. The base course is being installed this week, and the asphalt test strip was paved on July 26th. That's been approved. The Phase 1 construction will be completed before the air show, and Phase 2 will start immediately after.
I have a question on that. The Phase 2, will that require the 10 left to still be closed?
I'll refer to Mark.
I guess I could speak since I'm the airfield engineer. No, phase 2 will close 10 right, because that will, if you don't mind. Phase 2, so phase 1 is the yellow portion. So this is a tie-in to 10 left. So then phase 2 is the actual purple portion that's tying into 10 right. That's a 40-day closure. The difference in closures was, the difference for the 70 and 40 was due to the FAA fiber optic line. That's the main FOTS line, and it had to be lowered and relocated for this project.
Taxi lane A3 construction. The construction started on June 26th. All the excavation has been completed. The base course materials are going to be in place by early August. And the construction work is scheduled to be completed before the air show as well. Taxi lane November construction. Construction resumed on taxi lane November, June 26th. It's to tie the new taxi lane into taxiway Alpha and relocate the vehicle service road in that area. The taxi lane is an enabling project for an additional corporate hangar construction.
And can I say one other thing? All of those projects were scheduled together because with the Whiskey One, because we knew that we had to close down the runway. So these were all scheduled because all of them required for the 10 left to be closed. So to enable the shortest amount of time with the closure, they were all scheduled together and coordinated with the tower.
FAA inspections and financial audits. So this month has been a lot of inspections and audits. So the FAA performed their annual inspection that ensures that we're meeting the requirements of Part 139 or Part 139 airport certification. And as part of that certification, they did a pre-inspection review, an in-briefing with the airport management, administrative inspection of airport files and paperwork, movement area inspection, aircraft rescue and firefighting inspection, fuel facilities inspection, night inspection, and post-inspection briefing. So they inspected everything out there. We also are in the process of an FAA financial audit. They were on site last week, and so that was the site visit, and it should take them 3 to 4 months to complete this. This is something new that we haven't done before. It's something new they're doing. Every airport will be hit in the cycle, wherever that shows. But what they were looking for mostly is revenue diversion and maximizing revenue potential. So we'll, I'm sure, get a report in a few more months. Aircraft rescue and firefighting status. So we encountered unanticipated maintenance issues on July 11th. Typically, the airport is at Index C. It was reduced to Index B from 4:45 on Tuesday to 5:08 a.m. on Wednesday. Because of that, we had 2 diversions and 128 passengers were displaced. In response to that, in coordination with the National Guard, and our vehicle was identified and transported from Utah to so that we can maintain our Index C. And the city has executed a lease for a vehicle to allow the necessary time to conduct the required maintenance and maintaining so we can maintain the index. And it's expected to arrive in the next 30 days, but we have the one on loan from the Guard until then. Here, ACINA 2022 traffic report information came out, and Boise Airport came in at 66 for 2022, which is up from 2021 ranking of 70 and the 2019 ranking of 76. So we just continue to grow. This illustrates our exponential growth in passenger traffic and a quick rebound after the pandemic as compared to other airports. Here's a picture of Amy. She received her with a big smile as she received her concession person of the year. in Delaware North surprised Amy with a barbecue to celebrate her award. And so that's a picture from the barbecue.
Well deserved.
Yeah, well deserved, absolutely. Aaron Paul. Idaho's native, best known for his role in Breaking Bad, made a surprise appearance at Cross Grain Brew House to promote his mezcal brand, Dos Hombres. Aaron mixed drinks and greeted passengers before his flight in late July. Appearance at the airport was covered on multiple local news stations, so maybe you caught that. Fun. All right. And we need to recognize the people who've met their service milestones. So these three individuals here met their 15-year milestone. Jay Dobble, Deborah Howard, and Lonnie Young. And Deborah decided to retire about as soon as she got that. So ready to go. At 10 years, we had Daryl Herbert, Milka Menegar, John Vance, and Jim Wolf. At 5 years, we had Evan Brannon, Shane Cahill, Alex Everman, Chris Hicks, Andrew Munyon, Justin Scaramella, Thomas Smith, Mark Polana, and Kathleen Watkins. This is just a reminder about airport commission leadership. Our current chair and vice chair are closing out on their year of service. Thank you. And new leadership will be elected in our September meeting. May employments. So we are just growing everywhere. So there's a comparison then of May employments over the years. We 2019 through 2023. From 2022, we're up 8%, which is pretty significant for us. And here's June, also up. It's up 6% over June of 2022. So we just continue to grow. And then these are 2023 passenger totals through June. So we were up 11% over 2022. And I believe this is a comparison of 12 months to 12 months. So. 0.2. These are the top 10 revenues. They're pretty stable at this point, so there's not a lot of changes here. The signatory airlines landing fees are up. That is a result of our new airline use and lease agreement. And there is a kind of an anomaly there in the negative for terminal concessions and terminal retail. That is not actually a decrease in revenue. That is because the last phase of the ARPA concession grant came through. That's our last pandemic grant. And so it created a credit for those folks. It looks like negative revenue, but they are still growing strong. Our expenses, I don't think there was anything that you probably haven't seen before. Personnel has increased because of the cost of living adjustments, parking management increases because we had some timing of invoices there, but also just the growth in parking. A little bit of work in our structural engineering area, and we had to purchase a few more chemicals, and those are always large when they come. Capacity trends. You're in March 2023. Capacity was at 8%, while the passengers were up 16%. So that leading to a 6% point increase in the average load factor, which is 3%. OED, 19 of the 20 markets had increased passengers compared to Q1 of 2022, with Burbank increasing by the highest percentage, likely due to our service from Ovelo. At the Boise airline market share, United Airlines lost 1% point share to Ovelo late last year. So pretty substantial market share we have here. Let me see forward-looking schedule. So over the next 6 months, Boise's flights are scheduled to be down 3%, while seats are scheduled to remain flat compared to the same months in the prior year. So. This is a seat per capita comparison. We exceeded all comparison markers except for Spokane, Charleston, and Reno in seats per capita. And the increase from 3.34 to 3.40 from year end Q4 of 2022. Origin and destination passenger and airfare comparison. So we ranked second in O&D passengers and had the 4th lowest average domestic fare among our comparative airports. Here are some year-over-year comparisons. Sort of middle of the range of our comparative airports for all I had from the director's report.
Well, you're probably going to be pretty busy with the financial audit coming up. Could you or somebody elaborate on the diversions that resulted from the fire facility?
Yeah, I think we have somebody who can speak to that.
I'm happy to, Chairman. So we had a maintenance situation that arose that was unexpected. And so we triaged that situation in roughly 12 plus hours. We were able to regain our index, but we reduced index B, and it was based on the airline's preference to displace those 100, I think it was 128 passengers, as well as divert those 2 flights. Per FAA regulations, we're not required to do that unless we hit that 72-hour window. They elected to do so.
So they divert them to a different airport?
Correct. Yeah, and I don't recall off the top of my head. Mike probably knows. Yeah, they diverted to other airports and they came back to Boise once we reassumed Index C. So it was an unforeseen situation, and want to give a huge shout out to the Air National Guard because they've been helping us during this maintenance situation so we can take some of our city of Boise frontline equipment and have maintenance performed off-site. And as well as what was mentioned of getting the Utah ARF apparatus, that was a huge benefit. And I have Division Chief Paul Roberts here as well. And it was a great city effort as well as National Guard effort to come together to rectify a situation where we didn't presume us to be in, but you got to take what you're dealt and move forward. So that's what we did.
Thanks.
Question. One more question on that. Hindsight, what can we do to prevent that?
We are actively working on that. And so Division Chief Roberts, as mentioned, we have a lease coming. So it's the belt and suspender approach is what we're doing. And thanks to the Guard, that's the short-term belt and suspender. The long-term is the lease vehicle. And we're going to do comprehensive maintenance of our city frontline apparatus and just for everybody. So we have a City of Boise ARF team, as well as an Air National Guard ARF team. And they complement each other based on what the emergency is. And so our city frontline ARF equipment, we've identified some areas where there's opportunity for maintenance. And so we are going to a third party to try to get that maintenance provided in an expeditious manner in order to ensure the index level for the flying public of Boise.
Comment? Sure. We greatly appreciate the opportunity to be a part of the team. A lot of times the Guard is silent and that's where we want to be. We want to be quiet until you need us. They want to step in and they want to get out of the way. So this is a perfect example of the value of the National Guard, but more importantly, the value of the relationship we have with the airport. So we're very proud of that, very honored to help provide a solution. But we want to get out of the way as soon as you guys have the answer. But that's the way the Guard works. So we greatly appreciate the opportunity to be a part of the solution. We're proud of our airport. We'll do everything we can to make it successful.
We very much appreciate you guys.
It's fun.
Garrett?
Sorry, it took a moment to get off mute. I apologize, Mr. Chair. And thank you for letting me be here as a name on a screen. Let me see if I can get my video going here. I am very sorry. As you know, we raise our grandchildren, and our middle grandchild had surgery yesterday morning. And then we have a newborn that will be coming home in a little while. My wife is at the hospital getting her ready to come home. And so we have a newborn from the same daughter that we will be responsible for. So we had to divide and conquer, and I just couldn't get there this morning. So thank you for that. And other than that, it's just been always is an honor to be a part of this. And thank you for the great update. Congratulations to all those employees on their terms and the achievements that they've reached with tenure. And just thank you for allowing me to be a part of this. And I will try to be there in person next time. Thank you.
Congratulations on the addition to your family.
Her name is Daisy May. She was born five weeks premature, so she's been in NICU for about the last 4 weeks, but she's come along far enough that they're going to let her come home. So it's been one of those it's been one of those shall we say stressful but rewarding all at the same time.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions or comments on the director's report? And let the roll call show that Commissioner Carlson has joined us.
Just one comment. I just want to thank Kathleen for stepping up and pinch hitting for Rebecca. So far, you've done a great job. Big shoes.
Thanks, John. Anybody else? Okay. All right. So it is time for commissioners' comments. John, we'll start with you. You already had yours. All right.
Well, apologies for my slight tardiness. Well, it looked like you started before 8:30 on my dad. Which is always 5 minutes fast. This clock is always 5 minutes fast. Probably so nobody's ever late, except me. Anyway, happy to be here. Hope you all had a great July off. I want to acknowledge Amy. She has been an amazing employee, and that recognition is well deserved. And also all the tenured award winners, Alex, you included. It's really great. It's a demonstration that the airport has a great culture and that employees like to be here. And we always like to take that time to recognize those who've been part of this incredible journey we've been on of growth for quite some time now. I did a little travel in the end of June into July. I traveled to Marrakesh, Morocco. This for an entrepreneurs summit. And while my trip on the return was uneventful, my trip departing had some events. I flew American, and in Phoenix, they took the plane out of service that was going to Philadelphia. And after a 4-hour delay, rebooked me direct to London. Not bad. But it did change my status in my seat, which was not appreciated on a long flight, especially on the long overnight flight. So, but these things happen. Hopefully they're examining their maintenance plans so that, I think that's a real issue for airlines, is they seem to always be behind. And it's quite common. The people who are also booked on this London Heathrow Airport that I got to know waiting for our flight, this was their third rebook. And they had all been there for 36 hours waiting. So I didn't say a word. Just so darn happy to have a seat. And I'm sure the only reason I did is because some people gave up and went, this is ridiculous. I don't have to go to London today. Anyway, always great to see parts of the world, but equally great to be home, to feel welcome when I get into my familiar airport and just feel like this is so fabulous. So happy to be here. I did a couple short hauls, Canada and Chicago after that, but that was the big trip for me. I also want to acknowledge the incredible long-term partnership with the Guard that we have been so fortunate to have here at the airport. It really does make life easier for all of us and is a real testimony to the long history we have in working together and making sure each of us thrives. So thanks.
You know, with the runway closure, I want to acknowledge the tower for doing a really good job of really working hard to sequence aircraft and put them in quickly. It's a tight matrix dance that they do, and I know I can tell that they've been working hard. That's a tough job, and they've done a good job. We didn't have a meeting in July, so June, the Division of Aeronautics did their Police Academy, which I participated in, and they did a really good job. I think we had 8 or 9 community members that donated their time and their aircraft to give rides to high schoolers that are interested in aviation. They did a 3-day event that walked through all aspects of aviation, including, I think the Guard was there giving some talks in aircraft maintenance and corporate aviation and all sorts of options for those interested in aviation. So they did a really good job hosting that event at the aeronautics hangar, and community came together to support them well. So
we're going to hear from Colonel Williams and Alex here in a little bit. The big news, I think for us, especially the Guard, is the Gowan Thunder. We're excited, but I want to say probably the only opportunity I'll have to say this is thank you to our airport. This is a big ask that we ask to do this. We don't get out enough in the community. We get kind of do our thing on the other side of the fence and those other runways, so people don't know what we do. And when people don't know what they're paying for, they ask why they're paying for it. So it gives us an opportunity to showcase what the National Guard does. It'll be both the Army and the Air. And so we're very thankful, but I wanted just to say thank you to all of you at the airport and to the commission for your trust and your confidence in your Guard to make sure that this is a great event. That'll be safe, it'll be educational, and it's worthy of your efforts. So thank you very much for that. We'll get details in a minute, but I'm excited and very proud. Thank you.
Karen?
Yeah, so I want to say congrats to Amy as well, and to all the ditto what everyone has said for all the anniversaries. But I have been traveling a lot. We've had a lot of groups in, and so I've been back and forth across this country since June, from Rapid City to New York to Texas, and I'm heading to Atlanta this weekend. And I will say it's been really impressive knowing what the airlines are going through, witnessing some really stellar customer service. I've just been watching it happen. I mean, even from, you're going to have a flight that's delayed to actually it's not delayed. We've already checked your bags, but we're going to pull your bags. We're going to put you on the flight you want to be on. So it's been great. It's been really wonderful to witness. And as far as groups, we just had the Botanical Society of America in town last week. There were 1,200 attendees from all over the country, and nothing but wonderful experience. So I appreciate what you all do. Love our airport. I love it more and more every time I travel. You really do a great job.
I don't really have anything other than I'm really looking forward to 3 weeks from now when that garage is scheduled. Okay, with that, I think we're ready for new business. And that would be Gowan Thunder.
All right. We have a slideshow, I think. Good morning again. I had well-prepared notes, but the general took all of my talking points. So, if my briefness is not from due of lack of planning, let's just say that. So the airport's extremely excited to have the opportunity to be partnership with the Guard for Gowan Thunder. It's happening the end of August. It is a huge lift. The Guard is leading the majority of it. We're just assisting where able. But it is a great opportunity for the community, as the general stated, as well as just supporting our folks, our partnership with the Guard. And so we're extremely excited to do it. And the collaboration and coordination has been phenomenal, and we expect that to continue moving forward. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Colonel Williams, call sign Apollo. He is much more educated and versed on this situation, and he will provide a more thorough briefing than I could. So.
Well, good morning, and thank you guys for the time and the stage, and thank you all for what you do in the room. I'm here on behalf of Colonel Chad Kornberg, the 124th Fighter Wing Commander, who is currently off at airline training right now. So he's an employee of Alaska Airlines. I'm an employee of Delta Airlines, so we all do very similar jobs, whether we're on this side of the fence or the other side of the fence. So we're all in it together. I'm also a tenant of the airport, leasing a space from Amy and the old city hangars over there. So kind of involved in a lot of different ways out here. But I want to talk to you a little bit about the next most exciting thing after the parking garage in August, which is going to be it's going to be a couple days after that. So slide, please. We'll go through everything there. Okay, so you might be asking yourself, why at an airport like this would we shut it down for 3 days to hold an air show? That's a valid question for sure. I was just at a concert last Saturday, taking my daughter to see her favorite musician, and just the people sitting next to me asked me what I did, and I said, well, I'm in the service, and they say, oh, at Mountain Home. And you wouldn't believe that the amount of time I've lived here for over a decade this time around, and for 3 years prior to that in the early 2000s. And every time when I tell people that I'm a pilot in the military, they assume that I'm a pilot at Mountain Home. Now, you all know, as part of the airport, the guard side, as we call it, in the A-10s, and the history here for over 75 years, having military aircraft, fighters at all given times. But most of the community does not. And Boise used to hold air shows until the expansion of the new terminal. And if you can remember, if you've been here for a while, I think the last air show prior to us coming back into the mix in 2017 was the Blue Angels in, I think, 1998. But once that new terminal was built, it really we had to change our thinking if we were going to ever host an air show again. So we had to move the box and some other things. But we kind of lost touch with our community with providing a way that we can showcase aviation and highlight military air power, what taxpayers pay for, and say thank you to the community. So that's really what this event is all about. So it's to host a family-friendly, free public event, celebrate achievements in military aviations, but also recruit and retain those in the service. Because, John Don, you can ask anybody, Major General Garshak, our recruiting in the armed services right now is more difficult than it's ever been, and likely the history of our nation. So we will continue to struggle with that in the future, but this is a way that we can give back, have some fun, provide a free event. It is a huge lift, and it is a lot of pain, and I think I've noticed some extra gray hairs on Alex just in this last week, but we're working through the issues as we go through them. So thank you for letting us host the event and for being such a great partner in that, but it's really for the entire community and for the region. Slide, please. So Amy, back me up on these numbers, or should I carry? But the estimated economic impact there in red is $4.6 million for this one event. So regional event expecting up to 150,000 people. We had about 120,000 in 2017. And as we continue to grow and the valley continues to grow, now the air show's back. So I have gotten a lot of questions as an aviator here. When is the air show coming back over the last 5 years? So we've created that interest, and now it's here. There'll be food and beverage vendors. It's a free event, but if you'd like shade and nicer meals and adult beverages, there are ways to get that. That is through purchasing through MWR. But it's been an incredible planning effort that started really years ago, but really nailing down in the last 6 to 8 months or so with the partners here with how we actually pull this off. That's a lot of people to move on and off the installation over a 3-day period safely, to plan for emergencies, and enable people to have a good time in up to some of the hottest weather we'll have of the year, hopefully not smoky. So it is a huge lift. And having been a part of the air show circuit for back in the day for a little while, I don't know. I did a lot of air shows all over the country and through Europe. And this was probably one of the most complex with regards to how much civilian air traffic there is. So I will say that. So hats off to the people in this room who planned this. It's no small effort to do what the people in front of you here are doing and taking part in. It's a big deal. Having an air show at an Air Force base, they control it. There's no civilian arrivals and departures. They control the entire installation. The partnership is working inside the team, if you will. Here, it goes out into the community, and it out as far out as we're coordinating with Emmett School District for buses. So it's not just Boise, it's not just the airport, it's the entire Treasure Valley and really this part of Idaho, frankly. And it's really the Northwest and the Air National Guard. We have security forces coming in from, I think, 4 or 5 other states to help with security for the event. So it's a big deal and it's a big lift, but it is good for the community. You can muscle through it. Slide. So the highlights for this year. So the Thunderbirds are headlining it. So how this will play out, what you'll start to see and hear through that week is after the amazing opening of the parking garage. You'll see a single Thunderbird the next day on Wednesday, and he'll come and he'll kind of beat up the airspace a little bit and make a lot of noise. And you'll wonder, what is he doing? Is he just kind of inciting aviation happiness? No, he's actually looking for towers, looking for landmarks. He's actually filming the entire time with cameras fore and aft to provide information back to Thunderbird 1, the commander and leader, which will arrive on Thursday. So the first Thunderbird you'll see, the first noise you'll see is Wednesday, that week of the air show. Thursday is the big arrival day, and that is our first TFR. Dun, dun, dun. But it's not a ground stop TFR. It's not an aerobatic TFR. That is just to provide space to allow 6 high-speed aircraft to fly over and get an idea of how to safely execute an air show for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So that's why that TFR is in place, and it's moved around a little bit, but it's now in the afternoon, 15 to 1600. And we surgically placed that with the help of Alex and the Thunderbirds there to impact the least amount of air carriers. And again, they're going to have priority. They're going to be able to take off and land through that. It's not aerobatic. Yes, sir.
It's a TFR. Sorry.
Exactly. So that is, in simple terms, it's basically a no-fly zone, essentially. So we're going to keep all aircraft outside of emergency aircraft to include firefighting aircraft. They'll have the ability to take off and land. Life Flight, Air St. Luke's, all of those things will be able to take off and land, but it will be published throughout the NOTAM system and throughout the air traffic system that Boise is closed really for certain period of times with a few caveats. One of those on Thursday being 121 carriers. So air carriers can come and go as scheduled for that.
What about Friday?
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the TFR will be in effect, but that is a different situation. So those TFRs have been coordinated. That is actually going to be an air show rehearsal day. So that'll look, smell, feel like a regular air show. There'll just be a lot less people on the base and traffic won't be as bad.
Are commercial flights restricted on Friday?
They absolutely are. And so we have been working through Alex and through Ms. Hupp for about 6 months for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Have the airlines, if I'm not mistaken, my wife and I have tickets for Friday morning through Seattle to London.
Awesome.
So, well, it is.
So you're going to have to stay and go to the air show.
Not getting in here.
I'm kidding. So, no. That's a great question, truly. So the hours of the air show are 10:30 to 3:30. 6 months ago, through the airport, we started coordinating with airlines for 2 air carrier arrival and departure windows, which are 40 minutes long. And there's one in the morning and then there's one in the early afternoon. And so if you have a ticket that you purchased through them, the airlines, they've incorporated that into their schedules.
Good.
So what's really, yeah, so you're safe, but I'd really like you to the air show. Really.
I mean, every 5 years.
So that's the key, and that's what makes this air show difficult compared to a military base. The coordination starts for the TFRs. Those for the FAA only require 30 days to submit the no-fly zone, if you will. Here, it's a different story. We have to get those to be good neighbors, to be good partners. We have to start that coordination early. So all of the air carriers here can adjust their schedules so we can get the passengers where they need to go on those days. Obviously, we remain open for any type of emergency. They'll shut the air show down, firefighting aircraft, life flight, you name it, that continues to happen. But if you have a ticket now for Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, I would expect that you're all set and good to go.
Thank you. And Paul, if I may, TFR is a temporary flight restriction. Well, he used the word closure, it's actually a restriction, and that restriction goes in with different rules for the airport and Part 121 carriers.
Yeah.
So it restricts flights, but doesn't stop them. That's the intent. So I think you're safe. It's a good party.
Maybe I'll get your flight number. No, I kid. But we'll have the U.S. Army Golden Knights. So as you know, we have a large Army contingent on the south side as well. So they outnumber us probably 3-1, all told, in the state, roughly. And so their premier demonstration team is going to be here. Funny story with them, they actually have a base jumping section of their parachute team, and they were all ready and willing to jump off the tower into the ground. It is not happening. FAA wasn't on board, but but they were allowed. Think about that. They're allowed by the federal government to jump off something so low into a crowd. That's crazy. They're really good at what they do. They're absolutely professional. Some of the best skydivers you will ever see or hear about. And they're with the Army. Well, but airborne, so it makes sense.
Insurance companies that put a stop to that.
Probably. But the F-35 demonstration team from Hill Air Force Base will be here. There's only one demonstration pilot for the F-35, and she will be here. She's in her 3rd year. There is a female Thunderbird this year as well. She's flying the number 4 position, the slot position, right behind the boss. You'll have an Idaho National Guard Combined Forces demonstration along with some aircraft from Mountain Home. So you'll have A-10s, F-15Es, and then HH-60s or MH-60s from the Idaho Army National Guard, along with M1 Abrams and their Bradley fighting vehicles. So you'll have kind of a whole contingent you get to see if you're in the crowd on the south side of the runway, just showcasing what Idaho brings to bear. You'll have the U.S. Air Force Heritage Flight, and that's when they match up today's best technology with some of our favorite fighters, World War II. And this year it's going to be a P-51 flown by Greg Anders, which is a former member of the Idaho Air National Guard, pilot here. We'll have the U.S. Army Mounted Color Guard, and then we've got a myriad of civilian performers to include our very own Mark Peterson. He's flying 3 times, so trip turning in the exercise or in the air show, flying 3 different of his aircraft. There you've got the Misty Blues all-female parachute team. We have these 2 guys here that actually, you swear that you think they have like they went through plastic surgery, but it looks like Top Gun. It looks like Maverick and Iceman. They'll be walking around the crowd. So Tom Cruise will not be here, but you'll do a double take, I promise. And then the Jet Waco is an aircraft that was built in Caldwell. So that's really unique. It's a one-of-a-kind aircraft that flies the National Air Show circuit with Idaho ties. So really pretty cool event with some kind of Idaho flavor there. So that's the lineup. Slide, please. For parking, where are we going to park everybody? Well, last time, if you remember, we put people at Micron, at Sensi, I think at BSU, at the mall, like they were all over the community, and it really kind of impacted a lot of roads. We can park 27,000 cars on the south side, kind of south and west side of Gowan Road, and then a little bit out of Micron there. So a massive busing situation. The numbers have fluctuated between about 120 and 150 buses with how many we'll have running during that time. So we will be moving a lot of people. If you've bought the VIP tickets, you're going to be parked somewhere near that south of that yellow star there on there. But the main crowd area is south of the airfield where the current the MH-60s park, the Army ramp, the helicopter. But if you see equipment out there in the field, that's what they're doing. South side there, they're preparing this parking lots right. Okay, that just shows the main crowd area. So that's the Army ramp there is how we refer to it over there. Of note, if you see anybody on the flight line on the Gowan side, that's inside the aerobatic box. So we basically have to close off our buildings during that time for mission essential personnel only to allow the air show to happen. So this building itself is not in the box. So we don't keep people outside of that. So we shut down some of our buildings. We have the crowd on that back ramp, if you will, and that's how we are able to have an air show here in Boise. But it'll be a great time. We've got all kinds of interesting statics that will be here as well. F-35, F-16, F-15s, helicopters, civilian aircraft. Idaho Aviation Association will be taking part. It will really be a fun event for the entire family. So that's kind of the way I slide. Okay, well, again, the Joint Task Force Commander for this, how we're referring to it, is Colonel Chad Kornberg. He's at airline training right now. If you just Google Gowan Thunder, you'll find all the information that you'd like to out there. But if you have any questions at all for us, or real time, if you see anything, the airport is standing up their EOC here during the times of the air show. Coordinate through the EOC. They'll have a direct line to our mobile EOC on the other side. And so we'll be communicating handily throughout the 3-day event, working together to ensure this is kind of getting pulled off safely for the right reasons for our community.
What's the phone number for information? I can't quite.
You got it. It is 208-272-8235. I was like, is my doctor in here? I'm not going to squint too far. Yeah, those words are a little big.
And
Numbers I got.
What is MWR?
That is morale, welfare, and recreation. And so that's the kind of a civilian side of the Idaho National Guard side, and they handle like our concession sales for our little store we have on the other side. Any food vendors we have to get approved through them. They have to go through a safety type inspection. They handle our limited billeting facilities on the south side there. Anything outside the operation of providing combat power, they kind of handle. It's an easy way to think of that.
And the VIP tickets, are they for sale online?
They are for sale online, yes, sir.
Sorry. I'm getting a lot of questions from aircraft hangar tenants.
Oh, right.
And they watch their show from their hangars that they rent.
So that's really, I'll talk you through how it works on the FAA side, and then I'll let the airport folks talk about their messaging there. So that box, that large box, it's 2 miles long and 2,700 feet wide. That inside that box, which doesn't cover any of the hangars on the airfield except our own Dart hangars. That is a no movement area, and that is where all the aerobatics will happen inside the confines of that box. The maneuver package that the FAA has approved is all based on a crowd area being in one position, primarily, with some caveats. So obviously, the number of people in this building are probably considered a crowd, right? Large building, and it's just outside the box. But as far as how the aircraft will maneuver around the crowd and to get to the box, that all matters too, right? And so when you're talking about what's approved for these people to do, they take into account things like directed energy. So they won't do any aerobatics directed toward the crowd. They won't do anything. They might be flying towards the crowd, but they're in a non-aerobatic state at that point in time. Anytime they're going upside down or doing something wild, they're never pointed to the crowd area. So there's a lot of thought that goes into keeping this as safe as possible. Now, you can't really control what's outside that box. They can't really say, hey, you can't move, you can't do that if you're in a 5-mile radius or anything like that. But what they will ask to do is the FAA, and it all depends on the FAA inspector who's here and on the stand that day. The airport has the task of kind of managing and keeping secondary crowd areas from forming. And what is a crowd to me, to what is a crowd to airfield ops, to what is a crowd to FAA? I'm not sure what the delineating factor is, but the ask is to keep the air show on track and not get shut down. The FAA advisory circular actually talks about secondary crowd areas and keeping those from forming where we have the ability to. So onesie twosies, smaller people is probably not a crowd, but a crowd and setting up chairs and having music and lots of people. Like if you feel like you're having a crowd, you probably have a crowd. And it's a safety thing. It's not a guard thing. That's an FAA with how they even allow these air shows to happen, to fly so low, so fast, doing such incredible things. in close proximity to people. That's what's behind it. It's directed energy, it's maneuvers, it's the approved maneuver package to the FAA that has to get approved. So I'll let Alex or Amy speak to the actual messaging of the tenants.
Yeah, absolutely. So to echo your point, we're thoroughly discouraging, any additional crowd just for the safety standpoint. We're going to put the perimeter fences in SMIGS mode, service movement guidance control system. So it's locked down. So there has to be approval through airport ops in order to access and have egress from the airfield. So I definitely wouldn't advertise it. But if there's an absolute operational need, and I know that's a very fluid term, but we are not supporting, watch parties just due to the safety factor.
So personally, I've gone around to, I'm going around personally to the businesses that are most affected by that around the outside, not to the individual tenants, like our neighbors, our hangar neighbors, but to Jackson, Western, Turbo Air, all of the tenants that are on the east side and on the north side. I talked to you yesterday. So Norco, Modern Machinery, all of those, just letting them know, hey, here's where you get information. Traffic shouldn't affect you. If you have questions, please call us. We are community members too. We don't want to be a burden. And then talk to them about the secondary crowd area, because some of those businesses, part of their yards are actually in the box, so they really shouldn't be in there at all. But all those conversations are going well. We will take care of those people because they are our neighbors as well for that. But if there's any questions at all, please just refer people to the website as far as that goes. It'll talk through the traffic flow. I think the flyer on there with the box and the no watch parties really is there. So we're messaging that as well. Yes, ma'am.
We're huge supporters and thank you for all that you do and putting this on. Truly really excited about it. The question I have is we also support the Albertsons Boise Open, which is that whole cross country club right there. So the flight pattern, I mean, are you communicating with them? Is there, like you are the neighbors about the noise and the, it's televised and just.
So I will personally follow up with you. I personally had a discussion with the airshow director, Tony Vincelli, in December about that, to reach out because we knew this was a conflicted time here. This is a pickup game from not having it in 21. So the schedule for these jet teams is decided 2 years out. So this is not our primary window. We did not, I don't think we're going to be really interested in doing this again at this time. Me personally, I'm worried about fires and smoke and safety, right, for that. But having conflicting events on the same weekend in such close proximity is absolutely a burden for the community as well.
Well, there's crowds.
There's crowds there. Now that is further enough away.
Okay.
That won't be considered secondary crowd area at all because it's so far away. It's really around the box and on the airfield, people lining up chairs, and having a couple hundred people out there. That's a little, they'll be higher and further out. Absolutely non-aerobatic. No directed energy concerns at all at Hillcrest, even though it's pretty close. That's outside the really kind of the zone we're really worried about. Yeah, absolutely. Now they will get, that is for the Thunderbirds on one of their reposition lines. So they'll get some really good views. Hopefully nobody's putting at that time, but sorry about that. Yeah, no, but great question. So really the people affected most are the people that have, like, if you think apron or ramp on the airfield, those are the ones where the watch parties will be an issue. If you live, right outside or at Nipsey outside, or if there's a bunch of people standing in the Holiday Inn parking lot, there's nothing we can do about that, or would we do anything about that? We don't. That's not really a factor there. It's really just primarily right around where the aircraft really get into their kind of low stage and where some of that maneuvering is happening. Very good question.
The art truck is going to be back.
We're gonna have four total. We're only required to have 2 by regulation, so we're gonna belt suspender.
Awesome. Thank you so much to the airport for making this work. Obviously, this is your airfield. We are tenants as well, and we much appreciate the partnership as well, and then the ability to put on this air show. All of that. The economic impact is real, but the rest of this, we're not gonna see the result tomorrow or the next day. This is generational, right? So this is something that will pay us dividends back as a community 5, 10, 15 years down the road. So thank you for the investment. We sure appreciate it. And we can all celebrate when it's over, because we can celebrate the parking garage and Gowan Thunder being done.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
It's kind of hard to follow up the air show with a cargo ramp policy. But on a much less interesting note, we've been working with the FAA. One of the things, in order to get grant funding for various things, you can't get grant funding for areas that are exclusive use. And so we are working with our cargo carriers to make it very clear in a policy which areas on the cargo ramps are common use, which areas are preferential use, which areas are exclusive use. So we have had a number of meetings with our cargo carriers and worked through this policy that you see before you here. It's substantially complete. They have a couple more little minor changes that they would like to make, and we're going to meet with them next week before we go to city council with this. But I don't know if anybody has any specific questions about it, but we would like to ask you to approve the policy subject to some minor changes and send it to city council.
Of course, I have a question. I'm sorry.
A hard one.
I don't think it is. The schematics that you sent over were really difficult for me to visualize where this is. Is it next to Amazon, to the west of Amazon?
So I believe that they had all 3 of our ramps. So there was Amazon's ramp, FedEx, and
Okay, so this is all 3. This encompasses all 3 of them.
Yes.
Okay, that was my question.
Mr. Chair, I have a question. Are there substantial issues that have come up in this negotiation with them, or has it been pretty straightforward?
I think it's been pretty straightforward. There were some things that they wanted changed that we weren't able to make changes to. I think they're worried about that there's a 2 hour, so we'll talk with them if that 2 hours is enough time or not. But it's been fairly straightforward. We did take into consideration all the changes that we were able to make. You know, we view this mostly as putting into wording what is actually happening now, not creating something new.
So as it stands, there is no policy.
We don't have any written policy, no.
So this is adopting a policy.
Are you looking for approval of the July 14th draft policy today?
Yes, but subject to some minor changes that could still be made. Nothing substantial as far as I'm aware, but there might be some small tweaks if you're comfortable with that. If you are, then we would ask for a motion to approve the existing policy subject to some minor changes by staff and recommend it to city council for approval.
Because this allows you to go forward to city council now.
Yes, so we need your recommendation to city council, and then if they approve it, it carries the force of an ordinance.
I'll make the motion. Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I move that the commission approve the draft policy for cargo ramp that was submitted on July 14th, subject to a few minor changes that we give authority to staff to make.
Are you looking for, should it be that the commission recommends approval?
The commission approves and recommends that city council.
We approve and recommend to city council.
Is that okay?
We approve.
All right. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. So now is the time on the agenda for any input from the public. Is there anyone present who would like to make comments for the commission? I see none. So I think anything further from anybody for the good of the order? Oh, okay.
I checked online as well on my panel view, and there was nobody in the chat or with a hand raised.
Nothing? Okay, thank you. All right. So I think we're ready for a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you very much.